Let's move on to the big story making news back home. Lawyers at the Madras High Court are up in arms over the appointment of a judge. Her name is Victoria Gowri. She was an advocate before being recommended for elevation by the Supreme Court's collegium. Today, Law Minister Kiran Rijiju announced that Gowri, along with 12 other people, had been appointed as judges. But it's not a done deal yet. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a petition against her appointment tomorrow. It was supposed to hear it on Friday, but it has preponed that hearing to tomorrow. This petition was filed by a group of lawyers who are alleging that Victoria Gowri is not fit for office. They have made two charges against her. Number one, that she has made hate speeches against Christians and Muslims. And number two, that she has been the National General Secretary of the Bharatiya Mahila Morcha, which is the BJP's women's wing. There are in fact screenshots of Victoria Gowri's Twitter profile where she describes herself as a chowkidar. Also an ID card which establishes her membership in the Mahila Morcha of the BJP. The Chief Justice today took note of the objections that were raised by the Chennai lawyers. He has agreed to hear the matter tomorrow. As I said, it's important to note the context of this controversy, because such rows over appointments have happened before. I can give you two examples. Advocates John Satyan and Somashekar Sundersan. Both of them have been recommended for elevation by the collegium. But every time the centre has refused to clear their names. Why? Because they criticize the government. Advocate Satyan has been critical of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has also called the government's NEET proposal political betrayal. Same with Advocate Sudarshan. He has criticized multiple policies of the government. As a result, the centre has been sitting on their names for almost a year. Compare that to Victoria Gowri. Her name was cleared by the centre in 1 month, even though she had clear political leanings. So this controversy raises questions about two things. One, it reinforces the fallacies of the collegium system. In the past, the collegium has defended the political opinions of its nominees. Let me quote what the Supreme Court had said. The Supreme Court has said, expression of views by a candidate does not disentitle him to hold a constitutional office so long as the purpose proposed for the judgeship is a person of competence, merit, and integrity. In other words, integrity matters, not views. But surely being the National General Secretary of the ruling party's women's wing is a red flag. Secondly, it says a lot about the central government's filtering system. If you are critical of the government, your name will be stuck in the pipeline for months and months. But if you support the government, your name gets cleared in 1 month. And let's not forget the Intelligence Bureau and raw reports made on each potential judge. How did these agencies miss such crucial details about a nominee? If the hate speech allegations are proven, then the IB and RAW have a lot to answer for. They managed to dig out critical tweets and memes, but they missed multiple red flags when it came to Victoria Gowri. If you think about it, this episode sums up the collegium debate in our country. Yes, the current system of appointment is imperfect. It's far from perfect. But question is, could the government's alternative be even worse? That is a question that now will need to be answered. Let me go across to our guests who are joining us this evening. Uma Anandan is a BJP councillor. She's joining us on the broadcast. KV Dhananjay is an advocate of the Supreme Court and the Karnataka High Court, and Madhavan Narayan is a senior journalist. Umaji, let me come to you first, since Umaji is the most combative guest I know. What do you make of this entire controversy and, this petition that Chennai's lawyers have filed, which the Supreme Court is going to hear tomorrow? They are essentially saying that here is someone accused of hate speeches against Muslims and Christians. How can she be made a judge? Do they have a point?
No, see, this has been going on and on. For the person who has filed, I have three questions. First is Justice Krishna Iyer. He was a member of the Communist Party. He was earlier a minister in the this thing, and then he resigned, and then he came to the Supreme Court, and he was also a Supreme Court retired Supreme Court Chief Justice. Everywhere it has been happening. Do they mean that that they cannot wear their ideology on their sleeves, then everybody should be. If you take even the case of Ms. Vaigai, who has filed this case, non-communist this thing, and in front of, during the lawyers and police clash in the High Court, where I was a witness, I have seen Ms. Vaigai talking to Ms. Justice Sri Krishna Commission, who had come to inquire, and talking about the family court, saying that the policemen barged and beat those people and all that, when it closes at 3 o'clock. She says at 5 o'clock it happened. I was a witness to that. So if you take of ethics, political ideology, everything, it has been happening. What about Justice Chandru? What about Justice Hari Parandaman? What about Justice Sadashivam? These parties, political parties, always appoint them as the government if they become the AGs and all that. So then at that time, point should be taken.
Okay.
They cannot. And one more thing is, Madam Victoria Gowri did not quote anything offensive. She quoted from the father. She quoted from the conversion in 16th century by a known parish person who had come to convert. These were his exact words. And she has quoted him. It is not Miss Gowri's this thing. And you say that her name has been going around so fast in 1 month. No. Her name has been going around for the judiciary for the last few years. So you cannot jump. You cannot pinpoint to these people. And I also question the credibility of the same group, this Tukde gang, which is taking all this. So when it comes to them, it is blood. When it is fathers, it is tomato sauce.
Okay. But Umaji, the point is, you're saying that she has not said anything dangerous. Ek to these lawyers, Umaji, are saying, they are actually not raising the issue of her being a card-carrying member of the BJP. What they are saying is that here is a lady who has made hate speeches in public. Now, you know, I can quote from the speeches right now. In fact, maybe I should. She says at one point of time, as far as India is concerned, I would...
No,
Ek second, ma'am, let me know for the benefit of our viewer.
And all that, they can so many others. See, you have the members of parliament. You have the members of parliament. You have union ministers. You have so many people in the past who have brazenly resorted to violence. So why pick up on this lady alone?
And hate speeches also.
Everybody, they become teachers.
And hate speeches also, and those politicians have not been punished.
Finger at themselves.
You are right, Umaji. Actually, no, Umaji, you are absolutely right. Umaji, I agree with you here for once. You are absolutely right. There are enough MPs in this country who have brazenly made hate speeches, and instead of being punished, their parties have actually rewarded them. That party happens to be the BJP. Parvesh Verma, you remember? Okay. Okay. Now let me get in KV Dhananjay in. Let me get in KV Dhananjay in.
And Justice Krishna.
Ma'am, let me get in KV Dhananjay in.
This is a very
I agree what you are saying, ma'am. Let other people come in.
So what were they doing?
Umaji, let
mute her.
Are ma'am. Umaji, let others speak also, na. You are my favorite guest, but let other people speak. And before KV Dhananjay, you speak, can I just complete quoting the hate speech that has been referred to by the Chennai lawyers as they have approached the Supreme Court? One of the things that Victoria Gowri says at some point, as far as India is concerned, I would like to say Christian groups are more dangerous than Islamic groups. Both are equally dangerous in the context of conversion, especially love jihad. Another quote, the problem of Christians, if the Islamic terror is green terror, Christian terror is white terror. What Umaji's point, KV Dhananjay, is this, that if you can have members of parliament who have made hate speeches and continue to be there, what is the problem? What is the problem? Umaji, 1 minute. Are Umaji. Okay. So, all right. So, she has a point of view. She's entitled to her point of view. I'm asking KV Dhananjay, Umaji's argument is this, and it's an interesting argument. If there are so many MPs who make hate speeches and get away with it, their parties reward them instead of punishing them. So, if this one lady has made a hate speech, why are you targeting her?
Well, this is a deeply embarrassing moment for the collegium because the standards for appointment of judges is different from the standards that the speaker was talking about. There is a certain standard by which a person has to live before he or she can be considered for appointment to the High Court or to the Supreme Court. And there is a breach of that standard, and it's an embarrassing moment for the collegium for two reasons. Apparently, this is the name that was picked up by the collegium. And how is it that the collegium did not know that this was a serving member of one political party?
Correct.
And if this person was found to be fit for office, then that person ought to have been asked to relinquish the position in the political party and then, provide a cooling period. What the collegium has done here is to exhibit, the very, I think, with due respect to the collegium, I would say this is more or less reckless. You simply cannot pick up a woman who is a serving member of a political party to be a judge without even being aware that she's so serving in that political party. Being a member of a political party does not disentitle a person for being considered as a judge of the High Court. But the only issue is the person should be relinquishing that position and then provide a cooling period. None of those things have happened in this case. Number one. Number two, far worse scenario here is that the collegium could be forgiven for not being aware of the person's tweets. But after the collegium is made aware of how this person has tweeted and taken a public stand against minorities, I can tell you that this person has to be asked to provide an explanation, a public explanation, and perhaps a remorse for all of that, and then to provide a cooling period. The collegium should be in a position to defend this woman's changed stand. But is that where we are today? No, we are looking at those tweets, and those tweets have gone, without any manner of clarification or change in the mind of the person who is now being considered. So for these reasons, I don't see any option for the collegium other than to simply put a stop to this appointment at this point of time. The collegium simply can't defend this. This is indefensible. And my learned friend who kept on talking about the petitioners.
Can that
petitioners
happen?
Mr.
Yes, Dhananjay, can that happen? Because she's already been appointed by the government. She's already been appointed by the government. Can the appointment be withdrawn?
The appointment is one process whereby, first and foremost, the government, states its readiness to appoint her, and she will have to be administered on oath of office. Unless and until that oath of office is administered, she is not a judge of the High Court, and that has not happened, and that would not happen without clearance coming from the collegium. So now that the Supreme Court has itself said it would hear the matter, I think it's in the fitness of things that the Supreme Court will stay this appointment, because how do you expect people to repose faith in a judge who goes on to say things like this against the minorities? It's not that the women cannot, one cannot redeem oneself against these tweets. Now that requires a certain degree of time. Victoria has to come forward and then express regret and then say that she would not do anything of this nature. And then she is not the person today who she was when she tweeted in that manner. Now, instead of this standard, look at what we are doing. We are saying, oh, look, someone else got appointed in that manner, and let's just go and, brush this under the carpet and then ignore all the failures here. No, we do not evolve, we do not grow if we simply go ahead with this appointment. This appointment has to be stalled. And this lady and Madam Victoria has to make a public comment.
Okay. Madhavan Narayan, I'm just surprised at the Roy and IB reports. Roy and IB is very good at fishing out all possible details, warranted and unwarranted, against any individual. Right? Whatever happened? Did they? I don't know. Is it possible for the RAW and the IB to work together to investigate the character and the past of an individual who's going to be appointed as a judge in this country and miss out details like she's a card-carrying member of the BJP and miss out details that she's someone who's been prolific at making hate speeches? I find that very hard to believe, actually.
Let us first, Shreya, look at various angles of the issue. Let's first get facts straight. I want to point out that Ms. Uma Anandan said V.R. Krishnaiyer was a member of the Communist Party. He was not. He was an independent who contested an election and won. And he was part of a communist-led government, just as BJP ministers were part of a PDP government in Kashmir, where, sometimes coalitions in governments happen. So he was never a member of any political party, unlike Victoria Gowri, who is a president of or leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party's Mahila Morcha in Tamil Nadu. So it's an unprecedented case of an actual member of a party. Opinions may vary. We can have opinions on opinions, but we have to discuss the constitutional provisions, the constitutional propriety, and the issues regarding independence of judiciary here, not somebody's personal idea of a nationhood or conversion, because the constitution also allows conversion, religious conversion. It's not illegal in India. We are a country, and nationalism is an ideology. Country is governed by the constitution. Okay, second thing, I think it's very clear that the role of RAW and IB is a clear case of executive overreach into the judiciary. My personal recommendation is that the judiciary should have its own intelligence wing. And any fact suppressed before the collegium amounts to suppression of evidence or tampering of evidence, because the Indian judiciary, highly learned judges, follow the principle of evidence-based appointments, evidence-based jurisprudence, not ideology-based. As far as ideology is concerned, whether it is the left or the right, there is a sufficient ground in the constitution for personal opinions as well as tilts or leanings, but not membership of a political party officially is a no-go area. So we should discuss facts, principles, and constitutional provisions, not ideologies and opinions that can be made by any two-bit lawyer in some lower court. This constitution was founded by the founding fathers with exalted levels of intelligence and integrity and conceptual clarity, not ideological biases. Conceptual clarity stands above all ideologies. So one personal, my point is that this is an unprecedented case. Let me also add that this is actually a googly by the collegium indirectly and actually serves the interests of the country as a whole. Because if this is the case that is to be used as a precedence, then we need to put Victoria Gowri, Satyan, and Somasekara Sundaresan in the same tarazu, or and we need to ask if, why is there should be even a time-bound clearance. Why you can't, collegium and the executive and the judiciary cannot clash over these things using gray areas in the constitution. So I'm personally convinced that this is going to be a good case for discussion before the honorable judges. Everything regarding the role of the intelligence, as well as the difference between allegiance, membership, and opinion are sorted out. Please understand, look at these three words. They are so beautiful, Shreya. Allegiance, membership, and opinion. Dictionary words exist so that low-level lawyers cannot hijack the judiciary. It requires intellectual clarity and conceptual supremacy to really understand these things. And therefore, allegiance is okay, acceptable. Membership is a no-go area, and opinions are free in a country. And once you're bound by an oath, you will be governed by principles of integrity. And if there are conflicts of interest in a particular case, the Constitution allows you and importunes you to recuse yourself from certain cases. So the Constitution was made by brilliant minds who give sufficient elasticity while giving importance to principles and integrity and independence. And last but not the least, I must say the media is also an institution. So anyone talking in a panel should not adopt a tone before the anchor that she would not adopt before a Chief Justice of India. I call so it's very important for media also.
God save us.
More.
God save us.
You have to be authoritative. You have to be
God
authoritative.
save us then.
Priya, let me give you as a senior a piece of advice. You should be authoritative. You deserve respect. Nobody should speak to you in a manner that she will not use before a Supreme Court judge. This is how the country should be governed.
Umaji, I don't expect you to treat me like a judge of the Supreme Court of India, but I certainly want you to answer a question here that I have for you. And I have exactly 20 seconds, so please finish your answer in those 20 seconds, ma'am. We've all heard of Advocate John Satyan. He is also someone who was up for elevation. The government said, no, we cannot elevate him. What was the reason that was given? That he's critical. He's written an article that is critical to Prime Minister Modi. Now, please tell me, is this how the government wants to appoint judges in this country? I like you, you speak on my behalf, so I will appoint you. But if you're critical of me, if you speak against me, I will not appoint you. And in that sense, then, Is the collegium system much better? It's imperfect, but at least it's better than this, outright partiality.
See, definitely, yes. Everybody has to speak. If they want, somebody should, if they want to become a judge, do they mean that they should not speak, have an opinion of their own? They should not belong to any ideology. They are supposed to just simply remain dumb and perhaps sometimes also deaf. If that is a criteria for somebody, for these tukteg groups to stop these people from hitting the judiciary. That's how it looks. And one more thing, please understand, Ms. Victoria Gowri comes from a region where conversion has been rampant, and that particular region has been, so many of them have been victims of these callous conversion. If you take Kanyakumari and Nagarkoil belt, where the Hindus were a majority, today they are a minority there. So definitely, if somebody has to speak out, or if you want people like her to remain blind or to remain indifferent to the happenings around her, and that will only perhaps make her upliftment to the judiciary easy. Is it not wrong on our part to expect somebody, everybody, a human being, to be like that? Devoid of emotions,
what is wrong on our part is to expect. No, Umaji, what is wrong on our part is to expect that Victoria Gowri can have an opinion and get elevated to judgeship, but Advocate Satyan cannot, because his opinion doesn't match with the opinion of the ruling dispensation. That is unfair. That is unfair. We leave it there. It has been a good discussion. We'll see what the Supreme Court does tomorrow. And whatever happens, is going to be a very, very interesting case to watch out for. Umaji, thank you very much. KV Dhananjay, good to have you on the show. And Malvan Narayan, thank you very much for being on the broadcast as well.